going on there, folks? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster back here on this Sunday night, April 9th, 2023. It is about 10:25 in the PM out here along the West Coast in California. Latest earthquake looks like a 3.1 over here around the, well, just south of the Taiwan area, it looks like. Latest earthquake coming in there. We did see quite a bit of uptick in movement across the region today. Going to jump right in here to the Space Weather Department first, as we are seeing a little bit of flaring kicking off currently as we speak. Some moderate M flare activity coming in around the M3.4 range. That is from a new sunspot on the far southeastern side of the sun. Notice that bright feature there indicating that M flare that's currently taking place. Looks as though things will be getting very active here in the coming days, and as we head into next week as well. Looks like things will definitely be picking up. Current threat here, 95% chance for a C flare. M flare, 25% chance. X flare has been lowered a little bit, but I think that I think it's up there around 5 to 10% chance here, just due to the new regional sunspots that we're kind of monitoring. The one that's currently kicking off the M flare is just barely visible out here on the southeastern limb, so we can't get a good picture of the magnetic structure currently, but we will watch that here in the coming days as that rotates in the view. I think by tomorrow we should be looking at a little bit better picture of it. So what do we have right now facing the Earth? Well, we got this ginormous sunspot here, fairly complex and relatively unstable. A lot of intermixing here of the polarities of the fields, and also a newer sunspot up here as well, kind of popped up out of the blue. And that one does harbor a little potential there for some flaring as well. So right now we have about 3 solid sunspots noteworthy of watching here in the coming days as they continue to rotate further into the Earth-directed view. Again, M flare activity coming in on the way far southeastern limb of the sun. No major coronal holes facing us. No major CMEs have been produced yet. Just a matter of time, right? Heading into solar maximum here in a couple of years. We're already way ahead of schedule. But as far as the aurora forecast goes, very minimal activity, it looks like, up around the higher latitudes in Canada, maybe northern Alaska as well. All right, earthquake activity ramping up here. We did have a 3.4 coming in here, right smack dab on the Puerto Rico Trench. Relatively shallow. Coming in, looks like just about an hour or so ago, 10 kilometers deep, 3.4. Also some activity around the Puerto Rico area with a pretty good swarm, I'd say. About almost 50 earthquakes today so far. And this is looking a little bit more typical for the swarming area down here in the Puerto Rico area, but an overall uptick, I would say, across the Caribbean plate as we're seeing movement not only there in the Puerto Rico area, as you can see on the Earthquake 3D globe, that's quite the swarm, but also noticeably across the Middle America Trench as well, over here around the area of Guatemala and El Salvador region. We did see a couple earthquakes kick up here today in the middle 4 range. Up north into the states, a little spotty activity over there in the southern plains, Oklahoma and Texas area. Into southern California, noticing a little swarm of activity off of the Imperial Fault, kind of stretching down here in a linear fashion. Kind of doesn't make sense, right? Because that's kind of most of the fault systems here run somewhat parallel with each other. So there's odd activity taking place here today. Mostly ones, but definitely noticeable uptick here across the southern portion of the state. A little bit of activity across the San Jacinto fault zone. The southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault remains quiet. Small activity here on the Garlock Fault shear zone. This is a different setup. Notice this fault runs basically southwest to northeast fashion. A lot different than the main plate boundary here. And this kind of I believe this ramps up like a spring, so to speak, and it's been a while since we've seen any earthquake activity out here on this specific fault system. I think it plays a lot more in terms of a larger magnitude one than what people think. Either way, a little bit of activity kicking up here in the 1 range, magnitude 1 range on the Garlock Fault today. Movement out into the Nevada area. Looks like we're getting some activity on the Fish Lake Valley Fault Zone again. We've seen this kick up here last month. Quite a few ones kicking up there. And also a swarm of activity south of Warm Springs, Nevada. Out in the desert, mostly 2s and some 1s. Looks like the largest was a... let's see what we got here. Well, a 1. A 1.5 or so, 1.8. Right, across northern California, some movement here on the southern end of the Calaveras Fault Zone. A little small microquake swarm, it looks like. Some 2s kicking up here and some 1s. Overall, a couple different swarming areas, notably across the western portion of the states. Into northern California, this is our quiet zone here for now. I kind of skip over the Clear Lake Volcanic Field because this is just an ongoing process here of hydrothermal operations. We cover that on occasion, but I don't want to continue that every single update because that's just, we know what's going on there. Northern California, the Cascadia Subduction Zone. 1 earthquake this morning and also 1 outside of Covelo here in the mountain range, 2.0 and a 2.9. Nothing spectacular going on across the Cascadia for now. The Blanco Fracture Zone, of course, did see a little activity this morning, a 4.0. That's a little, what's a fracture zone, right? Different plate boundary out here, different type of setup compared to the Cascadia. But ultimately, this type of movement does add further strain here into the area of the Cascadia. Let me see what we got for the tremor map here tonight. Cascadia tremor shows 384 epicenters of tremor around the Seattle area. Definitely noticing a little uptick here in that tremor number, but so far we haven't really peaked out yet. But it definitely seems as though things are ramping up here across the tremor area. Yesterday we had 406, and today 384, all confined up here just outside of Seattle in this area of the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Nothing else going on here around the southern portion of it for now. All right, moving up into the Alaska area. A little bit of shaking going on outside of Anchorage earlier this evening with a 4.6 in the peninsula out here. It is in a prime area that does see some large earthquake activity. This earthquake was felt across the Anchorage area and areas to the south, mostly light to moderate shaking being reported by the folks that reported this earthquake earlier today. Looks like a little bit of aftershock activity occurring following that 4.6, which struck at about 51 kilometers deep. Not for sure exactly which fault system that struck on. There's numerous faults up here. This is a major subduction zone. And of course, we know Alaska can get some large damaging earthquakes. They had an 8.1 up here right on the Aleutian Trench. 2000, was it last year? Or the year before? I can't remember. It seems like it had to have been last year when we had all those 8s popping off. Had an 8 in the Kermadec Trench, 8 in the South Sandwich Islands, and an 8 up here across the Aleutian Trench. All right, a little bit of larger scale movement here going on across the Bismarck Sea area, Papua New Guinea region. That's striking right on the plate boundary here, relatively shallow as expected. There is a little trench that sits up north here, but this is relatively shallow earthquake activity. 6.0, and looks like that was followed up here by a 5.1 aftershock. There's this oddball earthquake back prior to the Mariana Trench region from this morning, 5.3. We do have some noticeable uptick here across the Philippines area, as noted on the Earthquake 3D globe. Looks like some 3s and 2s. Looks like a 5.1 here into the southern end of the Java Trench. That's going to be this earthquake right here coming in earlier this evening at 68 kilometers deep. See if we got any further movement up here around the Andaman Sea area. Looks like we did have a couple more earthquakes in this little swarm. Last one was this afternoon, 5.2, 10 kilometers deep. Really no main quake here yet. The highest one has been a 5.6 magnitude, so still kind of watching this area. A little bit of migration to the north near the Bamboo Flat area, it looks like. the Nicobar Islands area, Andaman and Nicobar Islands region, north of Port Blair. 35 kilometers deep for that 4.4. Coming in within the same time frame of these other earthquakes to the south. So this regional plate stress here looks like it's definitely increasing. We'll continue to watch that area for some larger scale movement. Some super deep earthquake activity occurring north here. That's going to be the Afghanistan area, I believe. 4.0, 4.1 showing up as listed up here on the map. Quite a bit of shallower and smaller earthquake activity across the Mediterranean and Turkey today. What do we got? 5.7 down here into the... Well, let's see exactly where this is at. I know it's on a rift or a divergent boundary, it looks like. Southern Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This one coming in just a short time ago. 2211. Aside from that, the Atlantic Ocean looks pretty quiet. One earthquake here in Chile, a 4.2. 89 kilometers deep, coming in within the last hour. And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of activity currently happening there at the South America region. Mostly around the Caribbean plate. We'll definitely keep an eye up here along the northern North American plate boundary here with the Pacific plate due to well, elevated activity here north into the Alaska region. Multiple different locations of swarms. Not big swarms there in California, but swarming nonetheless here around the San Andreas Fault. Got that swarming down here on the Imperial Fault. And some activity stretching into Nevada as well. Yellowstone National Park. Let's see what we got going on here across the area. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot. It's a broken record here. Sometimes Yellowstone likes to throw out some swarms, but on occasion, it also likes to remain very quiet, and that's exactly what's going on here. They're at the super volcano for now. All right, let's see what we got in New Zealand and Fiji, Kermadec Trench, Samoa. All super duper quiet. Goodness, look at that. Even the EMSC model here is showing only one earthquake in the New Zealand area. That, you know, it's... I don't know. California's been kind of the quiet spot here recently. I can't really say if a quiet day, couple days, is a good thing or a bad thing. Let's check out the GeoNet servers here. Make sure we're not missing anything across the area of New Zealand. The all magnitudes here will give us a general idea of what's going on. There's a 2.8 north of the south of the Hastings area. It looks like Hastings or Hastings. I'm not for sure exactly how you pronounce that. 12 minutes ago. 1.3 or 1.5, mostly smaller microquake activity. So there's, there's always going to be movement out here along a major plate boundary, but for now, nothing spectacular going on at all. As you can see across the earthquake drums here, relatively quiet. All right, let's see anything else popping off here across the area. Kuro-Kamchatka Trench up here in Japan Trench, all quiet. Goodness. Was that 5.7? That is, let me find the most recent quake up here. That's going to be at 1.8. All right, so let's see if this has peaked out yet far as that flare activity goes. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's peaked out up around the M 2.6, 2.7 or so. Looks like that's about it. All right, what do we got here? Weather activity. Not a whole lot of severe weather setups here for the regions that normally see severe weather this time of year. Things are just minimal. Only moderate, well, I should say minimal chances of any tornado threat here. We don't have any complex setups here over the next few days. And looking at the numerical models here, which kind of gives us a general indicator of where storms could be and precipitation amounts. Doesn't look like there's any major severe weather threats coming up there across the southern plains, which could be good news. But as we head into the end of April and May, things start heating up, getting the Gulf moisture coming up as well. Looks like we may have a severe weather threat possibly there around the 23rd, 24th of April around the Texas area. We'll continue to watch that, though. That's a ways out. All right, western United States. Do we have any more rain coming up here? Well, let me back out of here because that's the 14th. The current time frame. This is going to be tomorrow. The Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Northern California, extreme Northern California, and Washington are getting a little bit more rainfall. Here in the Sacramento Valley, doesn't look like much is going to kick up here around the Chico area. And then after that, we got some warmer conditions building across the West Coast. We hit 77 degrees here in my backyard. Tomorrow, 80 degrees forecasted, so I'm looking forward to that. I did get quite a sunburn here today. I was only outside for a couple hours in the sun, and goodness, it cooked me. So got to limit the sun here for now until I can get that first burn of the year, I guess. After that, then I tend to cook like a turkey. All right, low pressure system here. Looks like around the 19th of April, spinning off the Washington coast. Could bring some more unsettled weather conditions here over the next couple days there following the 19th time frame. So it looks like the 21st we could see a little bit more wetter weather here for the California area. Back behind that, potentially some more storms here for the West Coast. So we'll see how it plays out. A look at the precipitation total accumulated rates out here. We'll see what we have in store over the next couple weeks or so. Of course, Oregon's going to get quite a whopping up here with rain and snow. Here in the Sacramento Valley, it looks like maybe upwards of an inch or so across this area of Sacramento Valley. Coastal range, you get a lot more, a few inches there, but this is the accumulated precipitation map here of all the storms set to impact the West Coast from now to the 26th time frame. As far as areas out in southern plains, there's not a whole lot. I know portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas are dealing with some drought conditions. Let's see what we got. Current drought map. We're going to check this out here real quick and see what we have. We're just going to check out the entire U.S. here. And there's those areas that I mentioned around Kansas, Oklahoma, even portions of Nebraska. Texas, a good area of Texas, is in the drought conditions as well. Look at California. What a huge improvement. I'm not even joking. We looked like this last year, even worse, with the extreme. Actually, we had D4, exceptional drought. So we had some fairly bad conditions. It looks like portions of Texas do have that as well. And looking at the weather models, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of precipitation possibilities out here, unfortunately. So hopefully that changes there into May as some of that Gulf moisture comes up and create some weather conditions out there. But for California and a lot of the West, we are almost completely out of it. Look at Southern California down here, almost completely out of the drought. Here in the northern Sacramento Valley, it still shows us abnormally dry, but I don't believe that. We picked up a lot of rainfall. So more than likely when this gets updated, this was updated on the 4th. Next month, I think, is when they will release it. We'll probably be entirely out of that. So good news, no doubt, here for the western states. All right, let's see what else is there, folks. I think that's about it. Was reading quite a bit of the comments there on the Cascadia mega quake video that was put out here last night, and goodness, I still haven't even read all the comments. There's quite a few hundred comments on there, and it sounds as though that a lot of people are agreeing with what I'm stating far as lack of signage up here, clear direction on what to do when a major earthquake hits out here. It's there's obviously tsunami signs no matter where you go out across the West Coast here in Oregon as well, but what's that going to tell you? If you're a resident here or just visiting and you have this mega quake, you only have 20 minutes to basically find higher ground. And where do you go? I mean, there's no real clear markings, no real clear indicator of a tsunami evacuation route direction. There's maps obviously online, but far as the residents of certain communities out here, it's lacking that that potential life-saving method of instructions. And I'm hoping to maybe change that for a few areas out here, as far as getting some specific signage and clear indicator signage of where to go and which routes and whatnot to take. So all right, for now it's quiet. The Cascadia is quiet. No mega quake there taking place now. Well, the last one 323 years ago, so we know this area is building, and it's building. It's building. Let me see what we got here for. Oh goodness, hold on a second. Is this my GPS map here? Got a couple different GPS maps. Kind of wanted to look at a couple certain areas over here around Oregon. And not for sure why this hasn't loaded all completely. Let's see what we got. Gosh darn it. Alright, so this is basically going to show you the position and direction of this specific GPS station that's there. Dingbat? What? Dingbat. Look at that. Goodness. Alright. Haven't heard that name in a while. Northward movement definitely picking up, eastward as well. Vertical uplift, not so much, but certain other stations around the region do show some obvious uplift there into the let's see what this station is here. This one's showing some vertical uplift displacement to the east, and also major northward displacement up to around the 300 mm adjustment. So certain ones, if you look for the right ones, you can see how the land up here along the Cascadia is kind of being pushed up due to the subduction here of the Juan de Fuca plate. And once that massive release of pressure and tension finally lets go, this area is going to drop and then kind of rebound like a spring. And definitely an eye-opener when that does happen. But for now, it's quiet. And that's a good thing. Keep it quiet, hopefully, for a little while. Alright, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Have yourself a good night, and welcome to all the newer subscribers here. We're getting awfully close to the 100,000 subscriber mark. We are, of course, doing our member-only drawing here. Look at that, 4.7 coming into the southern end of the Middle America Trench right now. Still very active, folks. Definitely want to watch this region around the Caribbean Plate pretty closely. But we are at, let's see, we are at 94,172. So, less than 6,000 subscribers to go before our 100,000 subscriber mark. That's crazy. So appreciate all those that have subscribed and continue to remain here with this channel. And of course, welcome to all the new ones, all the new members out here who have joined the channel members. Of course, we do this drawing every month for our members. And, of course, we'll be giving away... Did I just get upgraded? We'll be giving away some prizes as well here on the 15th of April and every month thereafter. But, yeah, we got a... Looks like they revised that 4-pointer to a 5.1 now. Looks like just off the coast here of the Nicaragua area. 46 kilometers deep. All right, guys. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. Things getting a little on the interesting side here. Stay safe.